As at mid-June 2022, floods in India and Bangladesh resulted in more than 60 deaths, leaving millions stranded in several remote communities. Sudden gusts of wind on Asama Villa Beach in France got many worried about the increasing cases of extreme weather events across the world. In Spain, firefighters continue to battle fires after an unseasonable heat wave. What is considered the most devastating fire destroyed 25,000 hectares of land. Similar fires are ravaging south of Berlin, Germany, where it is reported that hectares of land have been burned and more than 700 people have been evacuated. This is coming as Europe sweltered under a blistering heat wave. The soaring temperatures were in line with the prediction of scientists that such phenomenon will strike earlier in the year due to global warming. Now, climate change, global warming, changes in land use and pollution can all affect the rainy season. These rare and extreme weather events may not have been experienced yet in Nigeria this year, but the rainy season is upon us, and the experiences in other parts of the world give us the opportunity to prepare for the worst. This is Environment Matters, and our focus on this episode is on building resilience against floods in Nigeria. My name is Onengiye Fineface. Thanks for joining us. We begin our journey on this episode from the Federal Capital Territory, where flood is impacting infrastructure, damaging roads and farmlands as well as homes. Beyond the problems, we'll get to see possible efforts at mitigation and opportunities to scale these into sustainable solutions.
Road infrastructure, electricity, private houses, and sometimes food security have always been under threat on an annual basis. What could be responsible, you may query? Flood, a force of nature, but sometimes man-induced as a result of human impact on the environment, capable of inscribing its merchandise on lives and property without negotiation. Abuja is regarded by observers to be one of the fastest growing cities in the world. But experts say there is a price to pay for this rapid urbanization of Nigeria's capital. Over the years, flood-induced casualties in the FCT is one case too many. In 2019, Mike Edoja, a retiree, and the entirety of his family escaped by the whiskers as the raging storm water came calling on his estate in Lokogoma. Since then, Mike and his co-residents in the community have been at the mercy of uncertainty of what may or may not as every rainy season approaches.
Up to now, we are still expecting them to come and do what they should do because the canal needs proper channelization and embankment. Once this is done, I don't think we'll have this problem again because that 2019, they came, the relevant authority came, did a lot of demolition of those houses. Those were the houses that caused the flood. But after that demolition, the flood never abated.
For mitigation, the estate's management had embarked on self-help measures to annually dredge and desilt the water channels before rains commence. While that may not be sustainable because of its capital-intensive nature, Mike conceived an idea of raising a couple of blocks coast embankment around the entrance to his house to push the stormwater back whenever the flood comes calling. This initiative, he says, has helped a great deal.
Since then, the flood never entered here again. Once the flood has overflown the culvert there and it keeps back flowing down, it keeps going. It doesn't enter here. Since then, it keeps going. And if you look down, you see that the next compound too has equally copied or done a similar embankment at their entrance.
Each time they come, we had hopes that something would be done. They demolished this house and a few other houses around here. So we assumed that Having done that, it will be very easy for them to just come and do some work.
Like Mike's estate, these two box culverts connecting Dogongada community, also in Lokogoma, to the city center, is still partially standing because of the community's efforts, such as this stone-based concrete enforcement.
We want to try as much as possible to see if we can make this place more travel to assess the community.
The color red signifies danger, and the mark an indication that structures such as these contravene state laws in infrastructural development. Images such as these dot landmarks in parts of the nation's capital. The measure is part of efforts by government enforcement team to return sanity to natural water courses that have been impeded by human activities, with the hope that this initiative will bring succor to the people and save lives and property. Development controls bulldozers roll in at locations time to time to pull down structures perceived to have been built on natural water routes. But they argued that the measure by Mike may not be the needed solution.
I am sure he must have violated those norms. He must have built on the waterways, so he has to raise embankment. And if we go there, we are going to remove the embankment. Because the embankment, he's only protecting himself, but he's pushing it to another person, which is going to destroy that.
By introducing some form of retaining walls, or even barricading the water course, not minding the fact that water, as we say, will normally, naturally find its way. You don't block water courses. It will normally find its way. When you do that, you are constricting the otherwise channel.
Experts say, in the quest to address the threat posed by flood to human tranquility, there is need to constantly seek harmonization of general advancement of environmental and social knowledge.
Harmony of biodiversity destroyed, birthing climate crisis and crying faces.
Dicey situation indeed, yet we carry on like a bull in a china shop.
On environment matters, we take the bull by the horns, comb the nooks and cranny of Nigeria.
Asking tough questions.
Examining challenges and opportunities.
Giving human face to the science, facts, feats, and global agreements. It's a call for action. Don't miss it.
Join award-winning environmental journalist Jennifer Igwe and other NTA Eco reporters for Environment Matters.
The FCT experience teaches us to take responsibility for the environment, especially in clearing waterways, cleaning drainages, and respecting the right of way of water. And from the FCT, we go to Bayelsa, a coastal state, to see how floods impact the livelihood of communities, especially aquatic life on the coastline. And from Bayelsa, we'll move to Anambra, another coastal state, this time on the shores and the banks of the River Niger.
Bayelsa State, due to its topography, is below sea level, which exposes it to high water pressure, resulting to flooding.
This is a church building. Everything have submerged by the water.
Last year before, this every year. What did they happen?
Niger Delta needed a dredging.
Despite its attendant challenges, fishermen and natives are taking advantage of the flooding to make large catches within their neighborhood, river and nearby ponds. One of the natives, Mr. Otiti Pius, who normally take advantage of the flooding, say it is a favorable season for him to get more fishes to take care of his household.
In my place, Banshai community, this is how it looks like when there is rain and overflow. We always come out to our backyard and catch some fish. And you can see this is one of them. And today I'm going to cook a good soup for my family to take. And at least At the end of the day, we'll still come out again, showing you whether we're going to catch some fish again.
Another set of fish farmers are those who harvest, dry and sell to improve on their socio-economic well-being. It is interesting to note that during the flooding, there is an increase in childbirths. A 70-year-old woman who is a traditional birth attendant and an indigene of Anyama Ijo community in southern Ijo relates their experience to NTA and how they survive the flood each year.
During that
flood, that after the water take the whole surrounding, that they have to raise their food, where they sleep with foam. That is the blocks. They put blocks and put planks on top to raise their foam where they sleep.
Due to the high tide of water, telecommunication poses a lot of challenges for those living close to the river banks. The people equally devise a means of communicating with loved ones who are displaced.
We don't hang this phone like this, we will not have network to make call. So that is why we are hanging it. When you hear the phone ringing from inside, if you do not hear it, that is your own. When you come back, you see the missed call, you call the person back. In the morning, when you come out, you hang it again because of no network.
Flooding also provides an avenue for the young Ijo children to learn how to fish and swim at a very tender age.
I'm swimming.
Swimming is like just part of it, so I can actually swim.
Our river dried up, so when this flood came, we saw it as an opportunity for us to enjoy what we have been enjoying. For my kids, I came along with them because since I gave birth to them, they have not had a kid, so I brought them.
Commissioner for Environment Bayelsa State Iselema Gbarambri reiterated government resolve to tackle flooding issues in the state.
Government is concerned about every community. It's just that government cannot also address the issues in 1 minute. The riverbed has become so steep that whether there is rain or not, whether there is flood or not, there is sliding.
With enormous advantage during the flooding, fishermen and their likes, if provided with fishing trolleys, will help to expand their trade in large-scale fishing.
This road leads to Umudaike village, Atani, in Ogbaru local government area of Anambra State. This 56-year-old woman, Victoria Aniche, who has lived in the village for over 30 years, said it is the only access road to her home, and the bad shape of the road was caused by perennial flooding in the coastal community.
Place the block and buy red sand. You can see them, the red sand. We buy them and fill. You can see the deep now there. If we leave them, it will continue to consume this thing. Look at the one that started there. So as we are leaving this side now, we have to help ourselves by, if we have money, we buy. We build this thing and buy and fill them so that it will not drive us, because if we drive us out of this place, we don't have another place to go.
For Victoria, life becomes meaningless every month of September, spanning through November, despite self-effort in palliative work to fence their house. Victoria and her family must relocate to a camp.
Have any help at all. Only we normally help ourselves by finding our way. Though the local government will provide the rooms for in the local government where we stay until after the flood. Yeah.
Victoria is not alone, as other residents say they have learned to cope with their environmental challenges. However, they are yet to come to terms with the cause of annual flooding that has devastated their livelihood.
If this erosion of a thing, this coastal erosion should be checked or piled, the flooding will stop. So you want to solve a problem, you start from the source. And the source, for you to get this problem done or solved, you have to check that erosion first. When you check that erosion, the issue of flooding emptying into the communities in Oboru will stop. Some people say, yes, you have to dredge the river Niger. It's not all about dredging. I could remember vividly when I was very tender, this river Niger, most of the times you cross it on foot. What caused this was because of we allowed this coastal erosion to continue to exfoliate the little land we have. And that is why every year, once it is time for flooding, it will overflow everywhere.
So there are a number of programs we put in place, which I have now enumerating to you, to ensure that first, no life will be lost if people heed to our advice. No property will be lost if they heed to advice. And in the event of the flood happening, we have a place to keep them. We also have to take care of them.
This is St. Gregory Catholic Group of Schools, Iyowa Odekbe. The children playing football on the pitch are oblivious to the imminent danger posed due to flooding. Puddle of water can be seen on the ground as they run around on the playground. The parish priest of St. Gregory Catholic Church revealed the ripple effect of the flood, as no measures have been put in place to forestall possible flooding in this axis.
It has been a terrible experience since 2012. That of 2012, this whole place that we are standing now, we are submerged. Then 2013, here is not completely submerged, but all the surroundings were completely submerged. 2014 the same thing, 2015 the same thing, 2016 the same thing, until only that of last year, 2021, was mild. We were also ready even to vacate. I want government to come to our help to know if anything can be done.
10 years after the unprecedented flood experienced in 2012, the people are yearning for urgent attention that will forestall the case of flooding in that axis to safeguard their lives and property. It is another year. It is already raining, and soon water from the river Niger will rise again. For Victoria and Nietzsche, time will tell if the issue of flooding will be a thing of the past.
Curious about how government policies on healthcare are faring? Do you enjoy learning about wellness concept and the many options available? Then watch Health Options on the NTA.
Mr. President has led by example. Take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Somebody can say, hey, I woke up this morning, I felt some tingling in my hand, some weakness, my face was, I couldn't speak well. That's a warning stroke, and it shouldn't be ignored.
The carrots contains carotene. Tomatoes is a colored plant. It has carotene. Pepper has carotene.
50% of our diet should be green vegetables and fruits.
Join leading experts on both orthodox and alternative medicine for all the enlightenment you need for a healthier you.
Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah.
Human activities like indiscriminate dumping of refuge on waterways and other insanitary practices continue to increase the vulnerability of communities and people to flooding in several parts of the country. We'll now go to Ibadan to see how waste management can mitigate floods in Nigeria.
Adijat Said is a food vendor selling ekuru and eko, a local delicacy among the southwest Yorubas. This food is made from processed beans and maize wrapped in leaves. And just as it is the case with many other businesses and households, she generates waste which, when not properly disposed of, ends up in canals and water channels, leading to the problem of flooding.
Basically, the single-use plastics, the nylons, the bottles from your drinks and from your water. Now, the problem we have is because this waste do not biodegrade for years. Some will not biodegrade for the next 450 years. So your children's children to the 6th generation are going to see the waste that you have used today.
Flooding, according to available statistics, remains one of the most devastating environmental disasters, posing threats to life and property as well as environmental health. Ibadan has an history of major flood disasters over the years, while government and other stakeholders have identified possible causes of the disaster to include climate change, building on waterways, poor river channelization, as well as indiscriminate dumping of refuse by some residents. What then is the way forward?
Each
item on a waste dump has a history and has the chances for further use. It is a parable to our society. There are so many things we use and throw away here that be recycled and be reprocessed and be reused and be re-evaluated.
This waste that you are putting inside the gutters are not biodegrading. And if they don't biodegrade, it means that they should not even be in the gutters. And people don't even know that this waste is actually wealth. Because every amount of waste you are generating at your house can actually be converted to wealth. Talk about it. Plastic bottles, you can convert it to wealth. Nylons, you can turn it tires. Because waste is actually not waste until you call it waste. Once you know, the next thing you need to do is to sort. Put your plastic bottle together. Don't put your plastic bottle and add your vegetable peels into it. Nylon somewhere, paper somewhere separately, plastic somewhere, and glass somewhere. Then your food waste, all your kitchen waste should never go into your dustbin. Every home should have their own garden. Why would you not have your garden when the vegetables and the pepper you are eating outside has been chemicalized?
For Adija Said and some other members of our community in Enyosha area, they have resorted to constant clearing of the water channels, especially during rainy season, apart from other self-help projects.
Before we started clearing the water channels, the rain floods our house, but since we started the clearing, the problem has abated.
Well, we've tried our own possible best to erect some kind of coverts, some drainage around and the likes.
And this one we are now, in fact, the other end there, the community, they've not been able to pass through this road for almost 8 months. So they are passing through another route. So it is their effort here and the effort of the community generally to make sure there is an amendment and to at least do a little bit of correction.
For the residents of Agbala area in Ibadan, theirs is by planting trees along the river banks to protect buildings from flooding, while they also take responsibility for stopping the perpetrators of illegal dumping of refuse in the river.
Those people in the night, they bring refuse to the drop, so it disturbs the flowing of the water. We normally wake up earlier, around 4 or 5, to stay here and driving the children that carries refuse to come and dump in the water here.
Planting of trees along the waterways can reduce erosion to its barest minimum.
It is clear that effort of government and other environmental experts alone cannot ensure a healthy environment devoid of flooding. It will take a collective responsibility of all and sundry to create a more sustainable planet for all and the generations to come.
Harmony of biodiversity destroyed, birthing climate crisis and crying faces.
Dicey situation indeed, yet we carry on like a bull in a china shop.
On Environment Matters, we take the bull by the horns, comb the nooks and cranny of Nigeria.
Asking tough questions.
Examining challenges and opportunities.
Giving human face to the science, facts, faiths and global agreements. It's a call for action. Don't miss it.
Join award-winning environmental journalist Jennifer Igwe and other NTA Eco reporters for Environment Matters.
The rains are here, and very soon the country will experience the hydrological season when the rivers Niger and Benue will begin to flow downstream to Nigeria. You could decide to wait, do nothing, and see how these will unfold. Alternatively, we can take responsibility by preparing early to make sure that the floods do not cause damages to lives and property. I'm Onengiye Fineface. Many thanks for staying with us on the NTA for this episode of Environment Matters. Join us next time on the program. Bye-bye.
Naysayers have recently ramped up their criticism of the Buhari administration for borrowing. These critics are very insincere. We do not borrow for recurrent expenditure, neither do we borrow to pay salaries. We are borrowing to build world-class infrastructure that will benefit generations of Nigerians. And we have a lot to show for the loans we have taken. Today, the standard gauge rail line between Lagos and Ibadan are running very well. Today, we have new airport terminals in Abuja, in Kano, in Lagos and Port Harcourt. Today, the Itakpe-Warri rail line that was abandoned for decades is now running. Today, we have well over 13,000 kilometers of federal roads under repair, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. There's a road project in every state today. Today, we have started the countdown to when the second Niger Bridge, which successive administrations have built only on paper, will be completed. The list of projects we're handling with the loans we obtained is long.
Wannan labarin ma yana peji na 36.
Ita kuma babban labarin wannan jarida shine ainihin
babban labarin da ke gaban jarida shine ta bayyana cewa
ọkwaji Ikenga eziokwu
nwanne m nwoke
Ikechukwu Ndukwe Igbo mam iji wee mee ka ụbọchị na-aga n'anya ya ọjọọ ewutelu unu.
Nation fún ti òwúrọ̀ yìí ibẹ̀ náà ti sọ pé àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ ìpínlẹ̀ Benue pàṣẹ wípé
ní gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀ka ní ẹ̀ka ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ẹ̀ka ètò ìlera ní ẹ̀ka ètò ààbò.
Nigeria, the world's most populous black nation, is blessed with many historical and natural tourist sites. From the north to the south, from the east to the west, wherever you turn within the country, enthralling spectacles beckons. One of such natural endowments is the Ikogosi Warm Spring, located in Ikogosi, Ekiti, in the Ekiti West local government area of Ekiti State in southwestern Nigeria. This alluring gift of nature is enchanting any day. This tourism destination of choice symbolizes different things to different people. To a first-time visitor, the spring represents a place that needs to be visited again and again. To the local populace, the history of the spring is not only intertwined with the history of their community, but it is also their own eighth wonder of the world. Since it has a pleasant uniqueness, not shared by any other warm spring in the world. Yet, the therapeutic effect of the spring water represents a kind of healing for some of the visitors. Ikogosi, a shortened form of the phrase Ikogun Akpausi, which is literally translated to extreme lefts of the place, is a name synonymous with both the spring and the community. Historically, the people of the rustic community, like most Yoruba people, migrated from Ile-Ife after a chieftaincy tussle.
The community later thought the place was no longer conducive again, so he as a hunter moved forward again till he got to the present location, since he has already been told that they should settle at the extreme left of the place.
The community has existed side by side with spring since its discovery by a prominent hunter who discovered it several centuries back during one of his hunting expenditures. According to the myth and history of the people, the warm and cold spring were wives of the same husband. The wives turned to spring water because of quarrels and rivalry between them. The hot and ill-tempered first wife was believed to have turned to the warm spring, while the cool-tempered second wife became the cold spring.
There was a man that married two wives. The man was a Pawan Tabarite, and one of the women was very hot-tempered. Her name happened to be Awo, and Awo is the Yoruba interpretation of color. The other one, his name was Awele. That was the cold one. Now, one day, the husband went far into the forest to tap his wine. Before he came back, problem ensued between the two women. They were fighting. So at a point, the hot-tempered one awoke. In another, she went up to the source of the warm water. There was no water there then. She fell down and turned to what we can now see now, a warm, flowing stream. Then the cool-tempered one also. She went far into the forest, about half a kilometer from the meeting point. She too had to fall down and turn to the cold spring flowing. Later come to meet at that point. Now the husband came back in the evening, carrying his keg of palm wine, with the expectation for him to get home and sit down comfortably to eat his pounded yam. Now he couldn't see any of his two wives. Instead, he saw two flowing streams. He knew what had happened. So he too had to fall down to form all these big mountains you see around here, in order for him to protect his two loving wives.
The first signpost that welcomes a first-time visitor to the resort is the undulating hills and green vegetation enriching the whole area. The feeling you get immediately is that of a promising encounter with nature at its very best, particularly if one is visiting from any of our bustling cities.
I suppose it's the tranquility of it, because when you live in Lagos and you work in Lagos, everything is rush, 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 rush. Here you can actually be a bit calm. So you can be a bit calm, enjoy your surroundings, enjoy what you eat, have a good laugh. So, you know, it's almost a time for being refreshed. So, yes, it was a good time. I mean, all of us were actually saying we should have stayed an extra night and actually left tomorrow. So it was that good. And you don't please Lagos people easy.
Whereas there are other warm springs scattered all over the world, Ikogosi Warm Spring enjoys the privilege of being one of the few in Africa that has warm and cold water running side by side. Hence, the pride of the community, as they call it, their eighth wonder of the world.
We are talking about the 7 wonders of the world. We call this place the 8th wonder. The 8th wonder of the world. And again, we expected organizations like UNESCO to have come to identify Ikogosi Warm Spring Resort as a World Heritage Center because of these wonderful natural phenomena.
It is one thing for a site to be a potential destination. It is another to actually transform such a site into a tourist destination of such. This is where the series of intervention done over the areas are quite commendable. The Baptist Church erected the first set of structures there through a certain Reverend McGee in the 1950s.
At a later date, the white people started coming to the spring, and they were amazed with what they saw. McGee later relocated to the place, and he erected the first set of structure at the resort.
The Ondo State government in the late 70s acquired the place from the Baptist Mission and added some additional infrastructure. With the creation of Ekiti State, the task of making the site very attractive became the duty of the state. Thus, the decision of the last administration in the state to transform the spring into a world-class facility.
We have a quiet, a peaceful, a tranquil environment that anybody from anywhere in the world comes and they appreciate. The facilities are great, the service are great, and it's a place that brings people together. Networking, people of yesterday, people of today, they come and they remember how it was those days.
The first benefit was that it exposed us to the world, and a water bottling company later came to the community, and they have been assisting our youth with scholarship, and they have also been supporting our community activities. These are some of the benefits that we have derived from the resort.
The vegetation of the resort is a highly thick forest. This natural and rich vegetation is closely maintained and protected from arbitrary deforestation. The area covered by the resort center is about 31.38 square meters, and it is highly protected from erosion by tall and evergreen trees. These trees also serve as a sort of canopy under which tourists could stay during the dry season and sunny days. The undulating topography of the entire tourist center and the symmetry of the surrounding hills add more to the aesthetic beauty of the resorts. The spring is rested within the range of hills surrounding the whole area. Hence, from up the hill, the warm spring sprouts out of the rocks as if it is steaming from a boiling kettle. The hot vapor could be seen as the water gushes downwards. The further the water gushes from its source, the lower the intensity until the base of the hill where it meets the cold coming from a different spring. From the source of the warm spring, the warmth from the spring provides visitors the necessary ambience for any of their needs. From school children on excursion to groups on retreat, the spring is just irresistible.
The peace and tranquility, I mean, being around nature, there's so much greenery around. When you're around the spring, the water, the sound of the water flowing, that sense of peace, the quiet has been very, very rewarding.
Accessing the waterfront could be done either through the wooden walkway that navigates the entire groove or the main road which leads straight to the groove. The natural vegetation of the groove further accentuates the inner peace around the whole site. One unique feature that strikes a first-time visitor is the painstaking efforts being made to keep the place clean. This deliberate effort at retaining the beauty of the place and making it attractive to visitors is clearly manifest at the point where the two springs meet. Apart from the pillar that has been erected to showcase the point where the meeting took place, standing at the point where the two springs meet with your two legs divided between the two springs gives a kind of undescribable feeling. Hence, some people even use the point as prayer points, believing that their prayers could be answered by the almighty power that situates this miracle in Kogosi.
Even the people of the community was the first to prove to us that the Ikogosi warm spring itself it has a healing nature, in the sense that the record has shown us that people around here, they live to the age of 90, 100, 120 before death. So the mortality rate, comparing that to other areas, so you still see the villagers coming to tap from that water because they're already used to it. They know what it has done for them. It is the water that even when you put it inside a processed bottle, you don't see a single particle, no germs, and so on. So the relationship between us and the community has been a very wonderful one. And even right from the time we started here, Ikogosi has made a lot of economic impact on the community and a lot of other ripple effects.
Another remarkable feature of this wonderful work of nature is the fact that the point where they joined, they became one stream, with each site retaining its thermal identity.
The temperature of the warm water at the meeting point after the dilution is 37 degrees centigrade. That's the temperature of a normal human body. But moving up to the source, where the water is coming out, the temperature there is 45 degrees centigrade. Yeah. Then there is what we call pH. That is the potency of hydrogen of the warm water is 6.40. That makes it one of the purest flowing streams in the whole world.
For instance, the warm spring, which now flows from the right side, had a very clean and visible waterbed, while the cold spring, which is on the left, has a darkish and less visible waterbed. Whereas aquatic creatures can stay and survive in the cold spring, not even the smallest of such creatures dare venture into the warm spring. The amazement offered by this natural dichotomy between two springs also extended to the natural habitat, as evidenced in the starry